FYI. I almost fell off my chair. I almost knocked the light over and I almost fell off my chair. What am I doing over here? That's a really good question. You may have noticed my absence. Maybe you haven't. Wow, look at the amount of orbs, and there's a huge one. Wrong way. Right there. Right, see it beside my head. Hello and welcome to the news that didn't make the news. Somebody is here. Hello and welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome here, welcome in, welcome back. I want to come to you today with the information that's been rolling in specifically for the last 2 weeks. And some of this information has made my landscaping and gardening job quite difficult. So let's get into this. It's almost past my bedtime, so this is not going to be a long video. I'm very entertained by the amount of orbs flying through the air. Anyway, let's get into this. I made a video, I want to say a couple months back, called Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. And when I got that message, I Googled it and found out it was a movie about quantum entanglement. Now, bear you in mind that I have not seen this movie about quantum entanglement, but I basically read the Cliff Notes. If you have not seen that video called Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, you may want to do that if you're here watching this video. Not many of you are, and I suspect that many of you are not here, the normal subscribers, listening and watching for the same reason that I'm making fewer and fewer videos. We're doing a lot right now. So the main thing that we're doing right now is we're integrating and accepting the part that you and I have played in every sector of consciousness simultaneously. So I literally mean every part you have ever played in consciousness creation, and we are consciously, unconsciously, and subconsciously creating all the time with our thoughts and feelings. But right now, at the very moment, and I should have started with this video is not going to be for everyone. This video is going to probably be for a handful of people. But what you and I are currently experiencing, this handful of people, could be thousands, could be hundreds of thousands. Since I'm not here that often and you guys aren't here watching that often, I'm going to assume that you are also doing what I'm doing. So there's 4 of you here and no one's commenting. That seems weird for the normal peanut gallery that talks to me and talks amongst themselves. I don't think I turned the comments off because I never have hecklers when I go live on my computer. What you and I, this handful, or maybe a couple thousands of people are doing at the moment is integrating and accepting. Look at those orbs. That is amazing. They're probably around me all the time. I just don't see them. I don't stand in front of the mirror very long. If I did, maybe I would see them. What we are doing right now is we are integrating and accepting every single part we have ever played in every sector of consciousness. Now, when you start to experience this is going to make some things extremely difficult. Now, let me tell you what I mean. I'm a landscaper and a master gardener. Rarely do I cut grass, but my landlord has asked me to cut the grass of the building where I live and her house that's around the corner from here. If you would see the look on my face while I'm mowing the grass, you would think that I'm kicking a child or screaming at a dog, okay? It is so incredibly hard for me, not as much with the grass, but this is ridiculous. It's hard for me to cut the grass because I can hear the grass. And things have been talking to me like they have never been talking to me. So normally, if someone has a dying tree or a dying rose bush, or something's not doing well, I will ask the plant, what's going on? Do you need something? Do you need to be moved? What do you need? Right? And I will get an answer from the plant. But now trees and bushes and plants are speaking to me and saying things to me without me asking them what they need. Integrating and accepting the part that you have played in every sector of consciousness. So, human beings are a sector of consciousness, animals are a sector of consciousness, insects are a sector of consciousness, bees are a sector of consciousness, plants are a section of consciousness, right? There's all these different sections of consciousness, and integrating and accepting the part you have played in every sector of consciousness means if I am the grass, if I once was the grass, and now I'm cutting its head off, I can feel that. Okay. So instead of me saying, okay, obviously the tree's not doing well, the bush isn't doing well, this plant is not producing enough tomatoes, whatever it is, what do you need? I've always gotten an answer for as long as I can remember. But now it's to a level that I can't even begin to explain to you. I walked past my strawberries and it had rained for like 9 days in a row, and the leaves were falling down and they were matted to the soil. And the strawberry said to me, be nice if you put something underneath me to keep my leaves out of this deluge of rain, something to that effect. And I called and told my dad this, and my dad was like, Tina, they're called strawberries because you put straw underneath them, and I didn't have any straw, so I had some undyed mulch or wood chips that I put under the neck of the strawberry, and the next morning they're like, thank you. Okay. So things are starting to talk to me in a way that they never have, and they are talking to me without me asking or provoking the situation. But if you're integrating and accepting the part you have played in every sector of consciousness, at some point you would be in resonance with the ant tribe. Okay. So how can you step on an ant if you were once an ant? How can you chop the heads off of flowers if you were once a flower? How can you cut the branches off a tree if you were once a tree? I think you get the point. There's a lot of debate about this, and most things I stopped listening to in 2021. And there were a couple of people up until the last 6 months I was listening to. I'm listening to and watching absolutely nothing. So I don't know in that way what other people are experiencing or talking about experiencing. There is a lot of debate about timelines and merging timelines and one timeline or a trillion timelines, or we have no effect on the timeline, or everything we do affects the timeline. So while we're integrating and accepting every part we have ever played in every sector of consciousness, meaning the plants, the insects, the animals, other humans, all of that, we're merging the timeline of, we've merged down to one timeline. Now, because we're on one timeline does not guarantee a specific outcome. What I mean when I say we're merging every timeline, every section or sector of consciousness means I can feel, hear, see, smell, taste every experience I've ever had, not in a way that's crazy or not in a way that's overwhelming. We have at some point been everything, experienced the consciousness of everything. I think I even knew 30 years ago, or 3 decades ago, that our consciousness, our connected to all living things, insects, animals, other humans, soil, trees, whatever, is a miraculous and never ending never ending thing. The difference is now is every consciousness of every section of consciousness or sector of consciousness you ever have been is merging. While that's happening, we have only one timeline. Doesn't mean the president or Tina Hammond or the birds outside my window don't affect the timeline and can't change the timeline. It's all species coexisting in the same cycle simultaneously. One timeline. Now, this is where it's going to get tricky. And like I said, if you haven't seen, and I had no idea this was coming when I was taking months, I think it was about 2 months ago, and telling you everything, everywhere, all at once. I didn't get that this is where this was going. Now, we don't get everything at once, or we probably would go over the edge and be a little crazy. Okay. So, one timeline. And this is where it gets tricky. 11:11 when I said that. One timeline. Since we are now everything and everyone that we have ever been. So our fractals of creation from each sector of consciousness, what is the word? We have fractaled off, right? Some of, not everything has a soul, right? Humans have souls, animals have souls. Not everything has a soul. So in this one timeline, in this multiple sectors of consciousness that you have experienced, this is all merging for one, right? Meaning I can't step on an ant because even though I don't remember my life as an ant, I can feel the consciousness of the ant kingdom. Okay. Now, I've talked to you guys about this multiple times, a witness relocation program for anything that gets in my house. Since my son was 5, so probably 25 years, just the consciousness now is helping me understand exactly why I was doing what I was doing. So you're not integrating all of the memories, okay? But you are downloading the consciousness, right? I'm not going to step on a bug. I'm not going to kill anything. It really hurts me to cut the grass, as ridiculous as that sounds. And yes, I'm hypersensitive, and I've said that 100 million times in this channel. This is way beyond hypersensitive. So everything you have been, every physical person, every plant, every animal, every alien, every extraterrestrial, every insect, every portion and section of consciousness or sector of consciousness on this planet and all other planets in this universe is all now coming to one intersection. Now, the thing about that is, what does that mean? If I walk outside and I see chemtrails and I start flipping people off, right, up there making those chemtrails, and I've been doing that probably since the 2000s, if I'm going to be honest about it, I can't do that anymore because what I'm essentially doing is flipping myself off. Okay, so if time were linear, and we know it's not, and hopefully I'm not jumbling this up too bad for you. Hello, Lynn. How are you? If everything you've ever been in every single time frame in every single sector of consciousness is merging, again, without the memory of it, but with the consciousness of it. Okay, so you don't remember being stepped on 3 lifetimes ago as an ant by someone, but you now have ant consciousness. Okay, maybe you've never had a dog as much as you love dogs, but you now have dog consciousness. You now have cat consciousness. You now have every consciousness of everything that you've created, co-created, interact with, and ever been. Okay, so we have to integrate every aspect of this for this timeline merge to be successful. Now, I'm not saying be successful as opposed to not being successful, but you do know that there's an uptick in fires and earthquakes and floods and other, all kinds of things, violent crimes, all of this. Not everybody is at a conscious realization or a conscious expanded intake that they can understand maybe why they feel the way they feel, or why they're driving the way they're driving, why they're talking to people the way they're talking to people. But I have never, ever seen it so crazy. So I'm a landscaper. I'm a master gardener. I run up and down to these greenhouses, I feel like all day long. I know I've been there 5 times, probably 6 times in the last 8 or 9 days. It's 2 miles from my house, luckily. And I had 3 different cars pull out, stop in the middle of the road, and just stay there. No reason, no hazards, no stop sign, no stoplight. Some people are short circuiting. And as you can imagine, we're interacting with people on different levels of consciousness, as we, of course, should be doing. But this means even without the memory and even without the cellular memory, meaning I feel it, I recognize it, I sense it, we are integrating the consciousness of every kingdom. Okay, so every kingdom has a sector, or some kingdoms have multiple sectors of consciousness, and we are integrating all of those things. Now, the reason that we're integrating all these different sectors of consciousness is so, for me, for example, when I'm landscaping, when I'm gardening, I can, before I stick a shovel in the garden, or before I stick a shovel in someone's yard, before I transplant, a bush or a tree or anything, I say, hello, I'm here. We're making this yard beautiful. If there's a weed that's taken over, I say, you got a big, beautiful yard. And I'm so happy about that. You can't be in this section of the yard. This is going to be the garden section where there are no weeds. I apologize in advance for disturbing the ants, the insects, whatever. This is what we're going to do. If I'm going to cut a tree or trim a tree, I don't cut trees down. I'm not an arborist or a lumberjack for that matter. But if I'm going to cut a tree branch off or trim a tree or shape a bush, I put my hand on it. I say, hello, it's okay. I'm just going to give you a little haircut. Now, when you're about to cut something out in nature, if you tell it what you're about to do, it pulls its energy back into center so that it doesn't hurt. Okay. The difference is like, if someone just walks up to you and rips a Band-Aid off, it's going to hurt a lot more, right? And it's going to shock you. It's an override on the nervous system. It's too much, okay? It's like someone walking up at the grocery store and unexpectedly ripping your Band-Aid off, okay? So if I put my hand on the tree and say, it's going to be okay, I'm just going to give you a haircut, it'll retract its energy to the center of its plant. It understands what I'm doing, and that way it pulls it in, okay? Just like if your husband says, okay, are you ready? I'm going to pull the Band-Aid off, right? You know he's going to do it. He's going to do it quick. It's going to be as painless as possible. The whole point of all these sectors of consciousness within your field merging to one timeline is so that you can do the best with what you have to work with. Okay, so you can do the best with people on different levels of consciousness. You can pick out the best food for yourself. You can get yourself on the best schedule for yourself. If you're a landscaper and a master gardener, you can warn those things that I'm here. I'm sorry for disturbing you. They will retract their energy or their whatever. Most things are very good about it. I will tell you that as far as what I've seen, wasps and mosquitoes are the 2 things that doesn't matter what you say to them. They're going to bite you, they're going to sting you, and they're going to be angry. Okay, that's written into their hive mind. I don't know. But that's very important. So one timeline. And like I said, the tricky part is It's not just everyone and everything that you've ever been as a physical person, it's all the other kingdoms as well. Now, when we're walking outside and we're giving the middle finger to the chemtrails, we're saying, I don't fucking consent and I speak for millions, which I've been doing for, close to 25 years. I've changed that to, I don't, no flipping anybody off, right? I figure they can see me on their spy cam technology that they got out there. I'm not flipping anybody off. I am still saying we don't consent, and I speak for millions, but I'm saying it's a waste of time, it's a waste of energy, it's a waste of money, because you know what? It just doesn't work anymore. The frequency of Earth, the frequency of humanity, the consciousness and frequency of Earth and of all of us here together on this one merged timeline, it doesn't work anymore. Now, when I will tell you that I said I don't consent to the poisoning of this planet and sentient life, and I speak for millions, that did nothing to dissipate or stop chemtrails. When I said that and said, this doesn't work in the energy of humanity, this doesn't work on this energy of this planet, it's too bad you're giving time, energy, and money to this because it doesn't work. They sprayed chemtrails 5 days in a row, but they just blew away and the sky went back to blue. They dissipated. And we know this. We've always known that, where our energy flows and where our attention goes, that's what gets expounded or exasperated or tripled or quadrupled, right? By me saying it doesn't work in this energy, it's not going to work anymore. It literally did not work anymore. So, tricky situation. We do have to integrate all of this on the timeline merge. And luckily for you, if you're now experiencing this or going to experience it tomorrow or start in the next couple weeks, it's a total trip, right? I've only done acid twice, okay? But I can tell you from doing acid twice, and those were mild trips, it's somewhat similar to an acid trip, right? Because, the strawberries are like, hey, our leaves don't really want to lay in the wet mud, okay? And I'm like, oh, I've got some wood chips. And they're like, pretty much, thank you, okay? So, and that's been happening with everything. And then my dad asked me about something, and I was like, well, Dad, it comes from the Mediterranean. So what it really likes is that ocean water washing up, getting sopping wet, and there's all that sand and just going back out. I see it, I hear it, it's instant, and it's been going on like crazy for the past 2 weeks. Things will tell me what they need, what they want, where they want to go. Now, when I hear these things, of course, I am Googling to see if I am correct, right? And it's in my yard, I just do it. But usually with a client, and just because it has been, what is the word, right? Normally, it's me asking, what do you need? What do you want? How can I help you thrive, right? But it's not me. I'm not asking anything. And all of a sudden, every single thing is talking to me, right? I need more shade. I want to get out of this. This plants, and everybody thinks everybody loves manure. Everybody loves mulch. Everybody loves, all these things. But it's not true. And one timeline means every section of consciousness that you are integrating, that you listen to, keeps you at a higher vibrational spin. Okay. So if you see an ant and I don't know why, but I remember as a kid seeing an ant or seeing an insect, and my first instinct was to step on it, right? It's a bug, step on it. That hasn't happened. I haven't done that kind of thing for decades. But let's say when we're merging down to one timeline and we're integrating and accepting all the parts we played in every sector of consciousness, if we know not to step on the bug and we still do it, or if we know particularly that we don't do well on red meat, but we're still eating it twice a week, okay? This integration, this merge, this timeline integration and acceptance of of all consciousness levels will make you feel more joyful. It'll make you feel lighter. It'll make you feel more expanded. It's a total it's a total shift, right? So we always want to listen to ourselves. And you can say, oh, well, I'm on this, I eat really great 90% of the time. And every once in a while I have this thing that I know that's shitty for me. Your body knows exactly what to do with that shitty thing, whether it's, whatever it is that you might do occasionally. Okay. What I'm saying is the consciousness expansion and the sections of consciousness within each kingdom integrating into one timeline means that while you're on an ascension pathway and you're integrating and accepting all of these things, and your frequency is moving up the ascension ladder, your spin is getting higher, and it feels good to feel good, right? It feels good to feel good. It feels amazing to feel amazing. It feels great to feel great. I say that every day, and I mean it. It feels great to feel great. It feels beautiful to feel beautiful. It feels amazing to feel amazing. But if you know not to step on bugs and you're doing it, and just different things, okay? So we have to integrate all of these consciousness sectors to merge this timeline for the highest spin. We're on the highest timeline no matter what, but you want the highest spin. Why do you want the highest spin? Because the highest spin is more fun. Think about how you feel after you hula hoop or spin in a circle, right? If you've ever seen like the whirling dervish, where are they? Probably Turkey. I have lots of lifetimes in Turkey. They spun and spun and spun and spun, right? The dance of the whirling dervish. Russians did it as well. And the reason they did that is because that spin gives you an increased vibration, and it feels good. It feels awesome. It feels great. It feels happy to have a higher vibration. So what I'm saying is, why I stopped flipping off the chemtrail planes, and why I started just saying your time and money and energy is a waste because it simply doesn't work anymore. Take the power back right here, right? Instead of fuck you, take the power back. Okay. So if I am flipping off that person or yelling up into the sky obscenities about chemtrails, I'm trying to quit. I did quit. But this is why I quit. Okay. And here's what I'm saying in a nutshell. At some point, you've been an ant, so don't step on one. At some point, you've been a tree, so don't cut one down. At some point, you've been an extraterrestrial. All right. Now, so what that means is if you are everything, everywhere, all at once, the alien agenda, because it's not our own government, they just made a pact with our government. Maybe it's some government planes involved. But if you are everything, all everywhere, all at once, and you're yelling at another human being, or you're flipping off the chemtrail planes, what you're doing is you are opposing yourself. Remember, I'm saying there's one timeline. And on one timeline, I am the ant that I used to be. I am the tree I used to be. I am the dog that I used to be. But not only that, that means I was also part of many other races. That means you and I, many of us, many hundreds of thousands of us, had a role in a government agenda. That means you and I and thousands of us had a role in the agenda of chemtrails, and the agenda of government, and the agenda of all these other things that we try to spread the truth about, share the knowledge about, and wake people up with, which, as you know, I haven't condoned doing for years. When someone comes to you, that's a different story. I'm telling you, if you're opposing the government, if you are opposing the chemtrail pilot, if you are opposing the bee's nest, you are in opposition with yourself, which means you're slowing down your spin. Okay. You are the person that you oppose. You oppose an agenda that you helped create. Now, you don't need to think too much and worry your pretty little head about all of these things and, oh my God, how could I have done that? Okay. I don't know an easier way to say this. If you were a person, place, race before that helped create an agenda that is now still going, you are integrating the person that created that agenda. You are integrating the life forms that that agenda has damaged, killed, perished. Anything that you oppose is opposing yourself. Because when people say we've merged, we only have one timeline, nobody can do anything, nothing's going to affect anything. Well, that's not exactly true. But if we have one timeline, it means I'm Tina Hammond, but I'm also this person that I used to be in Turkey that was married to the Sultan that had 100 wives that I couldn't stand. I was also an insect. I was also a bee. I was also part of the alien agenda. But have you ever heard like the aliens, the Pleiadians or the Syrians or Arcturians, or any of those races say we are you in the future, right? Why do you think they're so smart? Why do you think they have such awesome technology? They are us, right? And we used to be separated by a spiral in time. Here's Tina in Turkey, and here's Tina, in the United States, and here's Tina in France, and here's Tina in Greece, and all these other things I remember. But right now, if we're merging one timeline, that doesn't just mean that we're all set for this brilliant expanded future. It also means that we are our future selves, that we're part of the Lyrians and the Arcturians, and the Andromedans, okay? You are everything, everywhere, all at once. And your everything, everywhere, all at once is integrating into that now. So while you hold hostility, towards the Pleiadians or towards people from Orion, whether it's the government, whether it's the archons, whether it's the archangels, whether it's Satan for you, the devil, Jesus Christ, all one timeline doesn't mean that all the fractals are moving down the timeline at the same speed. It means you're integrating sections or sectors of consciousness from every part you've ever played in everything. And hopefully that made sense. You don't have to think too much about it. So while I'm telling you that you are a soul that is fractaled off into millions of different consciousnesses and millions of different fragmented physical existences and different sections and sectors and races and all of these other things, one timeline means the Tina that created, that got in the plane, with the archons and flew the chemtrails, because I actually saw myself in 2014 do that. Now, I will say when I saw myself, I was not happy about it. And I knew that by the look on my face that I was in a position that I was forced to do. Nevertheless, the Tina that created or played a part in the chemtrail agenda or whatever agenda is going on this planet, everything is streamlining together. Okay. So you're mad at the Pleiadians for not helping us, right? That means you oppose yourself and you're mad at yourself for not helping yourself. You're mad at the Andromedans for bailing out, not showing up with the ship, taking out the government, stopping the chemtrails. You're opposing yourself and everything that you've ever been by simply saying to anything, your ex-wife, your maybe your rude neighbor, whatever it is, it doesn't work. I don't give it energy anymore. It literally cleared the chemtrails for 5 days, and I haven't seen any chemtrails since. Me not getting angry, not giving my power away. And almost nothing makes me angry anymore. Chemtrails was kind of one of the last vestiges of my anger and disappointment, if you will. Okay. Everything, everyone, and everything you have ever been has to harmoniously merge with who you are now. The woman who was pregnant and ended her life in Turkey on the kitchen floor and remembered it, that was me, has to integrate that, has to forgive that. I did not know, and anyway, I don't probably want to go into that situation. Doesn't mean that we're going to spin faster, that our vibration is going to raise just because we're not stepping on plants or, kicking bugs or eating anything that's bad for us. What I'm saying is an integration. Everything and everyone you have ever been is not just a merge, not just one pathway. The highest spin is when you and I, everything, everyone we have ever been, not just merges. This is the important part. We must harmoniously merge into one. Interesting. Third comment down. The name is very interesting considering what I was just talking about. Everything and everyone you've ever been is now, every cell in your body is working so that you will harmoniously merge with every speck of existence that you've ever been when you fractaled off 20 million times or however many times we did. The only other thing I want to mention is in the 3D world, you are correct or you are not correct. It is peace or it is war. It is dark or it is light. It is black or it is white. What used to be correct, I read this in a book, this is what you do, this is how it goes, is a little bit going out the window right now, okay? Unless certain mechanical things. What used to be clinically correct can no longer be clinically correct because hopefully we're not running our lives like a clinic, okay? I want to stay married because it's the clinically correct thing to do. I'm going to be a doctor for the next 20 years because that's my indoctrinated education, and it's the clinically correct thing to do. I'm going to continue to live in this house because you know what? I put a down payment on it. I've been here for 20 years. So what if I'm not happy? It's the clinically correct thing to do. Unless you're running a clinic, I suggest thinking about what your higher mind and your higher heart really want. If you want to live on the beach in a little grass hut, screw your 30-year mortgage that you have 10 years left on. Never been a better time to sell a house. I spend so much time talking to clients, obviously not about these things, but nevertheless, when I talk to clients, I can tell if they are open within about 2 minutes or whether they are going down a path that is clinically correct. I bought this house, I'm going to stay in it. I got married and I'm unhappy and I'm going to stay in it. I'm going to do the clinically correct thing to do. And the people that are open are so much more fun to work with. I got to tell you. So I had this consultation last Friday and the lady said, basically, I want to just have the place weeded and mulched, right? And I'm like, okay, I'd be happy to do that for you. However, you've got 2 long garden beds that are completely empty, and you've got 2 other garden beds that are so crammed with perennials that just keep coming back and multiplying every year. Before we do that, Why don't we take half of what's over here and put it over there, and take half of what's over here and put it in there? It's the perfect sun requirements. You don't have to buy anything. We can mulch when we're done. Oh, yeah, what a great idea, right? Instead of saying, oh, the clinically correct thing to do is not move them. Some clients ask me, can I move a bush? Can I move that plant? Is it going to die? You can tell they have not been outside. But people are very clinically minded about what they've been taught, whether that's by school, whether that's religion, whether that's their family indoctrination, or maybe even all of the above, about what is the clinically correct thing to do. Now, I can tell you there's a lot of clinically correct things that I probably should be doing, probably should have been doing for the last 5 years. But I don't run my life on anything that's clinically correct, okay? If my oil light comes on in my car, which has a gauge for freaking everything, and says, you need an oil change, I'm going to get an oil change, okay? If it's mechanical, I'm going to pay attention to clinically, I can talk, correct things. Anything that I have a choice on, I'm going to feel into my higher heart and my higher mind. And what is driving you, the compass in your body that is driving you at a cellular level, your internal compass, is what would feel good to do. In my higher mind and my higher heart, what would it feel good to do? Which means if I've bought a house and put all this money in it and I've lived here 20 years and I think I'm just going to live here until I'm, 100 years old because I thought it was a good idea 20 years ago, who cares? Clinically correct is just not fun. Clinically correct is just not expansive at all. And people that don't go by that clinically correct book are such a joy, absolute joy to work with. Okay. And then that way I don't have to hide myself, right? I tell people initially when I go in, usually I'm just, they're passing me around. Oh my God, this lady brought my tree back to life, or my bush back to life, or, quoted me $1,000 less than this company, whatever reason they hire me. They say, oh, I got something that's dead. I don't think anything can bring it back. I should just chop it to the ground. Have you heard of electroculture? If you haven't, that's fine. I'm going to shorten it and make it real sweet for you. Take a stick and wrap copper around in it, stick it next to the plant, and we'll bring it back. And if not, then you can chop it down. But I have yet to lose anything or kill anything. So let's just try it. And you can trust me in this process, or you can Google electroculture and do a little homework. The choice is yours, but I'd be happy to bring a wand to you and just put it in there. And the reason why it's so important for me to do, now I haven't had I've had a lot of people say electro what, or I've never heard of that, but I've not had one person say, what are you, high? You think a stick and a piece of metal is going to bring a dead tree back to life? Yeah. Ask my other 30 clients about that. But it's important, most of all, that while I'm doing what I love to be doing, that I'm being myself. Because when I hide myself, who I am, from other people, whether it's grocery store, walking down the street, in the library, in the thrift store, which I'm always at, or in a consultation, I'm hiding from myself. When you hide yourself from the world, when you hide your true self from the world, when you hide your true self from your families, your partners, your friends, the people in the grocery store, your clients, your job interviews, you'll never know what you could really do, and you'll never know what you could really achieve. Because when you hide yourself from other people, and when you hide yourself from the world, you hide yourself from yourself. Okay? You have nothing to lose. Now, maybe at work, there's a few things that may be off limits. I'm not saying going crazy here. But I think it's why so many people initially connected here on social media. Oh, look at this person posting stuff that I've been talking about for 20 years and everyone else thinks I'm crazy. I'm going to be friends with that person, right? It was easy to hide, easy to just cloister oneself off into a direction, right? And only talk about people that talk with people, excuse me, about things that people didn't think was crazy. And we're kind of past that point. And I don't expect all of humanity in the multiple other waves coming behind the next in the next section of consciousness to get this all at one time. But there is a very large group of us, like I said, that is at this point where maybe you couldn't put it into words, but you're not stepping on ants. You're not eating shit that's bad for you, but on special occasion. You're not yelling at animals. You're not flipping off chemtrail planes, right? We're beyond that. We withdraw our energy from the part. If I withdraw my energy right now from flipping off chemtrail planes, if I'm withdrawing my energy from that and whatever I'm saying to them, because I've been doing it for years, they have less fuel to run on, which means what? Which means not only am I affecting my peace and my spin right now, this is a timeline merge. I can't stress this enough, is that however I'm talking to the chemtrail pilot or my neighbor or the person in the grocery store right now is affecting everything and everyone and every aspect of consciousness that I have ever been. Everything that you're doing, everything that you're saying, every ant that you're, stepping over, every bee that you're leaving water out for, every plant that you're planting, you're taking this one last timeline and you're just pumping it up to its sweet spot. And while you're doing that, in return, you're getting a faster spin, which is a higher vibration. And if you don't feel like your vibration's high or you feel like you need more of a spin, then just put your arms out and spin around in whatever room you can do that without running into things. I have a path in every room just about where I can do that. You need to spot when you're doing it or you're going to get dizzy real quick and fall under the kitchen table or your favorite plant. Spotting means that when I'm spinning, every time I spin around, I'm looking back over at this pin or at the refrigerator or whatever. Pick something to land on, put your arms out, spin as many times as you can. That shows you what it's doing. Your acts of consciousness are spinning you. You just don't get dizzy from it. You just can't physically see it. But at a cellular level, it's huge and it's amazing. If we could get a bigger portion of this first wave of consciousness to stop doing what is clinically correct to do, that would be so awesome. I talk to people every day, and I swear, I feel like people like to be belligerent, or maybe they like to be unhappy. I'm doing this, this, and this. I work this job, but I can't stand it. Do you have any other options? Yes, I do, and I can't stand it. But I think I want to continue doing it because, well, what if you did this and had more free time and then you could do this? So most people are so ingrained in doing what's clinically correct that they won't even take a fucking chance on themselves, right? I took a chance on myself. I'm like, I could probably landscape for a living. It's this many dollars more an hour than I was getting in the flower shop after 26 years of doing that. And I loved every minute of it, pretty much. But I wasn't setting my own hours. I wasn't making my own schedule. I wasn't deciding what clients to work for, right? You want to use Roundup? You already been using Roundup? Nope, I'm not working here. I don't put chemicals back into the water table. People are like, oh, Roundup goes back into the water table? It certainly does, right? Where does that come out? In your pot of water that you're boiling for spaghetti? In the shower, where you're washing your hair? It's all a matter of perspective. We have one timeline and one timeline only, meaning everything, every speck, every fractal of your existence that you've ever had is merging right now. and we don't need to overthink it, and we don't need to do the clinically correct thing to do. We need to do what makes the heart sing and what makes the higher mind sing, because that's what makes the body's toroidal field spin faster. You'll be so much fucking happier if you just take a chance. Look, there's like people all over the world have figured this out. People are camping and, living out of vans because they want to be free and they don't want to work all the time. And whatever extreme it may take you initially to get to that point, just consider stop working your life around what is the indoctrinated thing that I've been taught that is the clinically correct thing to do. And the reason is because when you hide yourself from other people and when you hide yourself from the world, you end up hiding yourself from yourself, right? And nobody is happy, nobody's joyous, nobody's healthy, joyous, and happy when they're walking around repressed because they're doing the clinically correct thing to do. Nope. I've only got 2 years, 4 years, whatever it is left before I get this, and this. And some people are so stressed out by their jobs, they might not even make it that long. But it's so ingrained in them to do that. I did this, I had this education, I bought this house. It's clinically correct thing to do. And the only thing that matters for your vibration and the frequency and the sweetest spot on this ascension and the sweetest spot in this absolute merge of all fractals of self in one timeline is your love for self and others and your joy. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time. It's been so long since I made a video. I forgot where the end stream button is. Bye.